In a world of ever-changing technology, the continued fight against crime must evolve with it. That's where crime labs like this one at the Flower Mound Police Department come into play.
So some crime scene processing can be done on scene by either the patrol officer or the detective. But if you need a more controlled environment or if you need to use more specialized equipment, we would bring those items back here to our crime lab for further processing.
Detective Joe Adcock is one member of the Flower Mound Police Department that spends a lot of time in this room. And for the purpose of this video, we're going to follow this prop through crime lab processing as though it was an actual piece of evidence.
The first thing we'll do is a visual inspection of the item to make sure that there's not any evidence that we can see with the naked eye. If there's bodily fluids like blood on the item, we would want to collect those first before we process it for fingerprints. The next thing we would do potentially is use an alternative light source on the item to see if we can see other bodily fluids that's not visible to the naked eye, or potentially gunshot residue or fingerprints. But for our purposes, we're going to use good old-fashioned fingerprint powder. So you can see just from there 2 decent prints. We would photograph that, and then we would also, after we photograph it, we would lift it. Of course, the key to fingerprint lifting with powders, you want to use alternative colors that contrast. So for a clear item, you use black, and then when we lift it, we would use a white background. Basically, this is of course fairly quick demonstration. You can see how we would have those. Of course, we would mark those in terms of where they were removed from the item. The other thing we can do before we use powder is we can put the item in a fuming chamber and fume it with super glue. That will actually bring out pretty good contrast and would actually solidify the print so it can't be damaged, and then from that point you could take multiple lifts of that item. When you use powder, you can only take 1 lift, so you have to get it right the first time.
And once the various tests have been conducted, this is off to property and evidence.
Once we've completed everything that we could do on that item is sent to our property and evidence technician for storage to maintain the chain of custody. If we've collected any evidence or anything that we need that might need further comparison, we would send that off to the appropriate lab.
Once our prop has been submitted to evidence, property and evidence analyst Martha Cotilla takes over.
Once an item is submitted, we go to our 2-way lockers and we pull it out. We look at it to make sure that it's sealed correctly, that it's packaged, that the officer has written the case number on it, as well as initialed the seal so that it can't be tampered with. We then assign it a barcode number. That barcode number will be able to tell us whereabouts it is being stored in our property room.
Home to more than 13,000 items, Flower Mound PD's property and evidence room is literally floor-to-ceiling storage for all sorts of things.
We currently do have a lot of different types of things. We have different weapons, from handguns to rifles to even swords. We also have blood kits from DWIs, and we have surveillance videos from different stores. We do also handle a lot of the illegal drugs and paraphernalia that may come in.
And if you're wondering how space doesn't become an issue in here, well, we don't hold evidence forever.
We have to thoroughly research each case. Once the case is complete, we then put it on a court order. That court order states that we can either destroy it, return it back to the owner, auction it, or donate it.
An inside look at Flower Mound Police Department's crime lab and property and evidence room. Just another way FMPD is at your service.